They said it so casually, like they were asking the time. "You're not on the list." Not loud, not angry, just final. The words hung in the air above the rooftop entrance, mixing with the sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft hum of the city below. For a split second, I honestly wondered if he was talking to someone else. Then I realized his eyes were locked on me, measuring, dismissing, already moving on. I stood there in my dark gray suit, nothing flashy, nothing sloppy either. Clean shoes, simple watch, hands relaxed at my sides, the kind of outfit you wear when you don't need to prove anything. But he had already decided who I was. "Name?" he asked, gripping his clipboard like it was a badge of honor. I told him, calm, clear, the way I introduce myself in boardrooms and quiet meetings where real decisions get made. He scanned the list once, then again. Slow, performative, like a magician dragging out a trick everyone already knows the ending to. "No," he said, a small smile forming, not seeing it. Behind him, people started to notice. Conversations dipped. A couple turned their heads. Someone laughed a little too loudly, like this was entertainment now. I felt it, that familiar tightening in the chest. Not panic, not fear, something older, something learned. I said there might be a mistake. "I have an invitation." I reached for my phone, already pulling it up. The email was there, clear as day. My name, my company, confirmation code, everything. He barely looked. "Anyone can fake these," he said, waving his hand like he was brushing off lint. "This is a private event." And there it was. Not the rejection I've been rejected before. This was something else. This was permission being denied. I could feel eyes on my back now. Phones coming out. That quiet buzz when people sense a moment they can record but don't want to be responsible for. I could have corrected him, right there. I could have said my title, dropped a few names, ended the whole thing in 10 seconds. But I didn't, because I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't trying to get inside that event. I was watching a man show me exactly who he thought belonged. He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice just enough to feel personal. "You're holding up the line." That's when I noticed the irony. There was no line, just me. I smiled, not sarcastic, not smug, the kind of smile you use when you're deciding something important. "Understood," I said. "Could you check with your supervisor?" That did it. His posture changed. Chest out, chin up, the small thrill of authority kicking in. He turned, muttered something into his radio, then covered it with his hand before any response could come through. "I'm going to need you to step aside," he said louder now. For the crowd, a half circle formed behind me. Champagne flutes paused midair. Someone whispered something. Another phone tilted just enough to catch my face. I thought about my son, 16 years old, smart, watching the world closely even when he pretends not to. I imagined this clip crossing his screen, the comments, the jokes, the think pieces. I took a breath, slow. "I'm not causing a problem," I said, "but I won't be spoken to like that." He laughed, actually laughed. "Sir," he said, dragging the word out, "this isn't a negotiation." 2 security guards stepped closer. Not aggressive, just close enough to make a point. That's when I realized something important. If I raised my voice, I'd lose. Not the argument, the story. So I did the opposite. I nodded. "I'll leave," I said, clear enough for every phone to catch, voluntarily. The crowd shifted. A few people looked uncomfortable now, others disappointed, like the show had ended too soon. As I turned away, he couldn't help himself. "Next time," he said, "make sure you're invited." That one landed. Not because it hurt, but because of how certain he sounded. How sure he was that this was the end of me. I walked to my car without rushing, opened the door, sat there for a moment longer than necessary. Then my phone started buzzing. Messages, calls, missed calls, people who knew me, people who didn't yet. I ignored all of it except one number. My lawyer. "I saw the video," he said. "We've got options." "No," I said. "We've got timing." I opened my laptop right there in the parking garage, pulled up a document I knew by heart. The sponsorship agreement. $30 million. I wasn't just attending that event. I was the reason it existed. I thought about all the rooms I'd walked into early in my career, all the moments where I was almost enough, all the times I stayed quiet, worked harder, waited longer. This wasn't about revenge. It was about consequence. I made one call, then another, short, professional, calm. By the time I drove home, the story had already grown legs. The organizers called first, apologetic, panicked, too late. Sponsors followed, then board members, then people who hadn't returned my emails in years. I didn't answer. Silence does something interesting when people expect noise. It forces them to sit with themselves. The next morning, the announcement went out. Sponsorship withdrawn. Effective immediately. No insults, no accusations, just facts. The fallout was immediate. Statements. Investigations. The man with the clipboard suspended, then quietly removed. Not by me, by the system he trusted would protect him. I never posted the video. I never commented. I just watched. A few days later, my son sat across from me at the kitchen table, phone face down, eyes searching. "Did it bother you?" he asked. I thought about that. "Yes," I said, "but not the way you think." I told him this: anyone can take power away from you in a moment, but dignity, that's something you hand over voluntarily. I didn't that night. Weeks passed. The event restructured. Policies changed. Training rolled out. People who had been silent suddenly found their voices. Funny how that works. I was invited back, of course. This time personally. This time publicly. I declined. Some victories don't need a curtain call. Now and then I replay that moment in my head, the list, the smile, the certainty in his voice. And I realize something that still surprises me. That night didn't expose my status. It exposed theirs. So let me ask you this, and I want you to really think before you answer. Do you believe people treat you differently when they know who you are? Or do moments like this simply reveal who they've been all along? Tell me in the comments.